All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start off my weekend by doing a little review video. I'm gonna try and do more of these. This was one of our tougher games from the last week. We actually end up winning this one and coming back from like a 3-level deficit, so that's kind of why I chose it. We had a really tough early game, but we had a really good comeback synergy too. So I feel like this is a good one for us to look at again. I'm actually choosing to look at it from my view rather than from the replay, just because the replay system is so busted on the in the actual replay thing in HotS. So this is a lot more efficient. So right away, just our comp to start off with. I really like the synergy, obviously, for Uther ETC. I think that Divine Mosh is something that we can really look at. And I'd like to try more of ETC in the meta now to kind of see where he fits in. He is a lot more squishy than he used to be, but I think with Uther armor, I think there is still something to be something to look at there in terms of trying that out. Also, it's really good against they have primarily a poke comp. You know, Nazebo, Malfurion, and Lunara in the back get a lot of poke damage out. They also are lacking a little bit of synergy on their team, I feel like. They do have some slows with Lunara, but Sonya's main priority is to draft something that has slows to help her stick on targets. That's her main, thing that she's able to do with regards to, with regards to trying to stay on targets in team fights. But she doesn't really have that. So it makes it a little more difficult for her. So I don't really see a whole lot of team synergy in theirs, especially for Dragonshire, where you have to be able to control points, and they don't have epic point control. Neither do we really. I mean, I guess Butcher gets a lot of value there, and Zagara is decent at it as well. But it's all right. But anyway, so those are the comps. I like ours a little better for this game, but we start off with the general laning phase. One thing I'd like us to try and do on Dragonshire more is when we're drafting to prioritize a solo laner, which we usually do pretty good at. I want to draft a strong 3-man that can hold bot and dominate it and ideally push into the bottom lane against them to try and get the well and start to get the advantage. And then a good solo soaker, preferably somebody that has mobility to be able to rotate quickly, something like a Genji, or even something like a Rhaegar who can quickly mount up and run. Also, somebody that can do it safely is really nice. So a couple things to consider there. But I think instead of doing the 3-man rotate, I think we might be better off actually going after prioritizing the middle soak more, especially in the early game. It also allows us to have somebody who's always available to interrupt the Dragon Knight. We've been losing a lot of early Dragon Knights lately, so I think that's something we can definitely improve upon. The first thing that I really want to focus on looking at with this game is a fight that we take a little bit after 10. You can kind of see both teams get to 10 relatively early, and there's not really a huge advantage or disadvantage there. We lose a couple fights and win a couple fights throughout, but overall, this is really the first big turning moment. We get a little bit behind because we do lose a fight or two right after 10. But I think the first real turning point into things going really wrong for us is this fight here. I'm actually going to turn the sound back on. We can listen to the comms here, but I feel like so what happens is the Dragon Knight was mid for this rotation. Oh, there we go. So we can actually go back a few frames. We can see that it is mid. He rotates to bot.
I like it.
And then so the objective then becomes for us to push them off of the bot fort. We can see that we're down the 13 talents here, so we're not particularly suited for taking a team fight, but we push out pretty far into the lane. One thing I'll point out is for Dendi specifically is that a couple of times on Gul'dan. What the heck is that sound? Okay, I'm really confused. Maybe it's on Gosu. It must be on Gosu Gamers. I don't know. Sorry about that. Anyway, so for Dendi, I do see you quite often on Gul'dan in this match, at least. I would have to review more play to know if it's a repeating pattern. But you stand in a lot of the fire from the Dragon Knight. It ends up taking a lot of poke damage off of you, which I think is really important to try to avoid on Gul'dan. He's got relatively low cooldowns and good wave clear. But like any mage, you want to try and position in a way that you're not going to take a lot of free poke damage. That's gonna hurt you a lot in the long run, especially when you want to save that health to be able to life tap. And actually, now that I think of it, this isn't the one that's super important on the sound. But so we successfully pushed them off of the bottom fort. But then we go in and we try to catch the Diablo out. One thing that you'll notice that we're able to see here is Sonya leaves the Dragon Knight and goes down into this bottom bush. So that's something that we should be able to be cognizant of, is Sonya's positioning here. Dendi also, again, you're kind of low from taking a lot of free poke from mostly from the Dragon Knight. But then this rotation is very dangerous when we know that Sonya just went down into that bottom bush. She instantly takes that opportunity and leaps. I actually, at this point, don't have enough mana to do anything about it with the Divine Shield, even though I really, really wanted to. But so that ends up turning into an instant death. We pop Mosh Pit, which is a huge cooldown, which Rabbit had mentioned that was something that he regretted doing. And then finally, I have enough health, enough mana to de-shield, but too late for me, too late for Agent. I think that the biggest error there is us engaging that at all when down the 13 talent tier. But there's a few different things that we can look to improve from that specific team fight. But we do a good job here of not letting that be snowballed too badly. Rabid ends up getting picked, but we keep our composure. We actually go up and we get a really, really good pick on Nazebo, which helps. We get the 13 at least. And then we just start rotating through the map. We start looking for more picks. We get a good engagement in the bot a little bit later. We get the pick on Lunara, and then we get the DK. And so everything's going okay up to the point where we end up getting this Dragon Knight in a little bit. And then we make another pretty fatal error here. This is just general knowledge, I think, on Dragonshire, is that in early DKs, like anything before like the 15 to 20 minute mark until you really hit the later game, they're not super strong. They don't have a lot of health. They're really easy to force down, and so we have to be really cognizant of, where are we on the map? Where is the enemy team on the map? How much are we giving trying to go after structures? And we have to take those opportunities to rotate to other places. So for Agent here, we throw in the fire, and that's good. Trying to get the fire out onto the enemy structures is good. But you go in really, really deep. And it's not even the Diablo push. Like, that's what keeps you in, but you can see how far you go in with basically no minions. Nothing to help you, and you can even see how many there are before you even make this decision. We know Sonya's here, we know Diablo's here, and before you go in, we'll even see Lunara pop up, we'll see Nazebo pop up, and that should instantly be a sign to retreat. Get out. Because our team is not there yet, we're not 16, we can't contest them. And you go in so far that you do get knocked back into it by Diablo, and you can see the health of the Dragon Knight just completely gets melted by double turrets and the 5 enemy team. And we can't even really get you out of that situation very well. I go in far enough to pop Divine Shield to keep you alive, and he's trying to zone with Mosh Pit, which again is a huge cooldown to be using for defensive purposes. But it ends up getting interrupted by APOC. I can't get you out fully. We all end up dying. Zagara comes in and dies. Everybody dies except for one guy, which I'll tell you right now is the dark horse of the team right now. My man Dendi gets out and survives and doesn't go into full tilt mode. Like, that's the big thing we have to look at when we have these demoralizing moments in these games, is not letting the tilt factor get to us. Dendi goes back, plays safe, just kind of waits for an opportunity to do something on the map, which is to come up and, you know, get his abilities out slowly and surely on these to get it cleared, but he doesn't go out very far. Again, sorry, it didn't show it on the stream, so I can't really show you specifically, but you can see it from the minimap. He does a really good job. We wait until we get 5 alive, and then what do we start doing? We start rotating as a team. We call out that Nazebo's up here, and we get a really good simple pick on him. And now I want you to watch this. 19. Level 19 to 20. Look how long in this match it's going to take them to go from 19 to 20 versus us to get from 17. We're just going to kind of, you know, track what happens. We get a nice engagement on them in the bottom lane. It kind of goes back and forth a little bit, but at the end of the day, we end up getting a super nice mosh pit. By the way, just a small side note here. This is where I need to be way, way better with my stun on Mal. If I see him going for that mosh pit for that Twilight to interrupt the mosh pit, I should be much faster at getting that interrupt when he postures for that. So that's my bad. I'm going to work on that. Gets the interrupt, but we still get the double kill here. And we somehow don't even lose anybody. So at this point, they've gone about a third of the level to 19, and we've gotten a level and a half. The catch-up mechanics are on big time, boys. We get the Dragon Knight. This time we're a lot more smart with it. We wait to go in until the minion waves are there. So that's perfect. And we've got members here. You know, we get the mid fort pretty easily. We maybe go a little bit too far in, going after the mid keep. But Dendi makes a great call. Again, you know, not really going back to the audio, but makes a great call to rotate it out till 20. And look at that. 20, 20. We get it at the same time. We got 3 levels while they got 1. Holy shit, guys. What kind of Jesus juice were we drinking right then? So then we make a call that we want to try and get a pick on Nazebo before he's able to get his stacks done. We kind of pal around, we kind of bush meta. We successfully zone Sonya away, and then we get a monster pick up in the top here on Nazebo and another one on Diablo. So again, you can already see we're heading towards 21 pretty quickly. You know, we get the top fort, and so in the time it's taken for them to get a level and a half, we've gotten now 4 levels. We go and we get the mid keep. We go back and we get the Dragon Knight, and then we just charge in the mid and we win. So that is catch-up 101. The early game doesn't matter nearly as much as the late game. You just have to breathe, play safe until you got 5, rotate around on this big map, and not get caught out in dangerous situations, and you go in and you just win. So yeah, don't work in Japan. Good talk.